Good evening Cebu, good evening Philippines. It's open mic night tonight, and tonight we have the COO and Senior Vice President of VECO, and he also happens to be our new Spanish consul, honorary consul of Spain to Cebu. Anton, Perdices, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. It's good to be here. How are you?
It's a pleasure. So Anton, you wear at least two hats.
3 hats. I'm a father too.
You're a father, which is I think the most important.
Yep, definitely.
The most important. But what takes most of your you use up most of your time with your VECO duties?
Yes,
of course.
yes. Majority of my time is
COO.
spent. Yes, majority of my time is spent basically leading VECO, and the part time is the consulate job. The consulate job, most of it is mostly helping Filipinos they ask, how do I apply for a visa, or if there's a Spanish that needs help.
Citizen
Yeah,
here.
Spanish citizen that needs help with how do I get a driver's license, or a lot of queries.
Oh,
Yeah, it's mostly queries, email, phone.
consular work.
Stuff. Yeah.
Let's talk about VECO first.
Okay.
We've seen VECO transform, and it's become very professionalized in the last several years under the Aboitiz mantle, no?
Yes.
But you joined VECO a little over a year ago.
Yes.
How is the transition from? You came from another Aboitiz.
Yes.
firm.
I was working in Aboitiz Construction Group, and I got a call. I was head of operations there, and then I got a call one day from our chairman saying that the current COO, Basti Lacson, was moving to Manila, and that he wanted to pull me out of construction to take his role. So I basically have a background in management information systems. I lived in the US
Yes.
for 18 years in the telecommunications industry.
You worked there for 8 years.
Yes, I worked there went to school and worked there, total 18 years. I came back and they threw me into the construction group.
Because you're part of the
Of the
Aboitiz family.
yes,
yeah.
yes. I'm one of the 18 that are currently working there now.
There are 18
18,
executives.
Yes, all levels, from the chairman down to the management trainees. So it's like a cycle. People come, people go. It's attrition.
What generation are you?
I'm the 5th.
You're in the 5th.
Yes, I'm actually the eldest of the 5th.
Are there members from the 6th or
Not
just
yet,
the
not
5th?
yet. Just 5th. Yeah.
the
So
fifth.
right now there's 4 and 5 that are running the company.
But the rest of the 5th are still studying.
Yes, some are studying. Some have actually.
Some are kids.
Some are kids. It's a big. The 5th's a big gap. There are some that are in their 50s who are working abroad. So it's not that you are required to work for the company. You're actually asked to work for the company.
And you are in the 5th, but there are some in the 5th who don't actually work for Aboitiz.
Correct. Yeah.
They work outside.
Yeah. It's not like I said. You can't. It's not a
Is it
birthright.
encouraged? Is it encouraged?
It is, but then you have to be qualified, obviously, right? And when you start in the ranks. You work up your ranks. It's all about meritocracy.
Yeah.
We're very big on meritocracy, and people have always asked, like, how have you lasted so many generations? Because normally what they say is the first generation starts it, second builds it, third destroys it.
Squanders,
Right?
yeah.
So we have a family constitution, and at the end of the day, it's all about the business.
It's what you abide by.
Yes.
You abide by the family.
We have rules.
constitution.
We follow rules. We're committed. We sign a document. So it's and we have to be as the leaders. We have to portray. We have to walk the walk and talk the talk, right?
So, like you you worked outside of
Yes.
Aboitiz for a long time.
Yes.
Same with your other fellow 5th generation
Mm-hmm.
members. Was it frowned upon at the time? Was there not pressure, but an invitation when you were working outside?
When I was working outside, I remember the CEO then, John, would be asking my dad, keeping tabs on everybody, like what are they doing, how are they doing, and I was enjoying myself in abroad. I had a good job. I was traveling a lot.
You were
around
married then?
Not yet. I was traveling around South America, Europe for my work, right? So it was always in the back of my mind that eventually I'd like to come back. And actually, before coming back, I was working for Converges. And when I heard that it was booming here
Converges where?
in Florida,
In Florida.
I told my boss back then, like, would it be possible if you could get me an expat gig to work in the Philippines, right?
Okay.
So he said, okay, let's work on it. And then that Christmas, I came back, and the head of Aboitiz Construction Group, Bobby Aboitiz, approached me and said, I think we want you to come back and work for the family.
So, but instead of working for Convergys as an expat here, you ended up...
Yeah, I went back to the States and I told my boss, look, sorry, but the family's calling and I have to, accept that call.
But if members of the family work outside, are they completely independent, or they still get some share from the dividends, for example?
They probably do. It depends on there's no written rule how the father wants to, take care of the son.
The patriarch of that of the
well,
family.
each person has their share. Each father has his share, and how he treats it, how he gives it to his son, that's his business. Right? So there are a lot of family members that do not work for the company. We're in the actual book. There's a book of the family.
Yeah.
Last count, I think there were over 1,000 people, and of the 1,000, only 18 work for the family. Right? So
there are 1,000.
Yeah, if you trace the family tree.
Wow.
All over the world, yeah. And every 5 years we have a reunion.
But that's Aboitiz from the Philippines, from the original.
From Spain, the original from Spain.
But when you say 1,000, that includes
Spain. Australia.
But it's not not counting from, what's his name?
Ramon. Well, actually, Paulino was the one who moved to the Philippines and started it.
When you say 1,000, that's from the Paulino line, or that includes the others?
That includes that includes Paulino and down the line. From Paulino, there was Ramon,
but
Vidal.
What I mean is, you start counting from Paulino when you include 1,000, or you include the other Aboitices?
No, just Paulino side.
That's already
that's that's generation one.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yep.
Paulino, and then the next is
Ramon, Vidal, who were the ones who really started the company.
That's Don Ramon?
Yeah, Don Ramon.
Of Ramon Aboitiz Foundation.
Yeah. And then there's the Morasa side included in there also. So that's part of the...
Because the Morazas married to Aboitiz ladies.
Yeah,
that's right.
And then the gentlemen, the brothers, assisted working and helped found the company.
So, meaning your great-great-grandfather is the brother-in-law of Don Ramon.
Yes.
That's right? So anyway, speaking of family, in social circles, it's being mentioned that the Zobels are marrying into your family and you're marrying to their family, the Aboitices. It's like a business merger. Is that being seen as a...
Well, I'm sure people are talking about it, but I know they love each other. And
the lady is from the Aboitiz.
Yeah, no, the lady is the daughter of Jaime Augusto.
Jaime Augusto.
Yes.
And the gentleman from the Aboitiz.
Yes, from the Aboitiz.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's all kinds of people talk, right?
Yeah.
But when I see the two of them together, they're happy, they're in love, so...
It's a perfect match,
Yeah.
Will we see? Will the public expect more joint projects between the Aboitices and the Zobels because of this?
We have already a joint venture.
But more
to put up. That I don't know.
There is an upcoming venture.
Yes, here in Mandaue, they they purchased a piece of property and they're going to be doing a joint venture.
I think I read about that.
In Subang Dako.
But it's before the engagement.
Yes, that was before. Yeah. And also, this was a joint venture bid for the airport, right?
Yeah. But you lost to
GMR Megawide, yes. The families have known each other for the longest time, so the uncles have hung out with each other.
It was only a matter of time, no?
Yeah,
it's a long time coming that somebody from
I guess, yeah.
So anyway, we talk about Veco. What are the challenges that you face as a company now? I know Aboitiz is engaged in power generation.
Yes.
But you are in the power distribution.
Distribution, yes.
As Veco.
Mm-hmm.
Is there no conflict of interest, or is there the threat of a monopoly there?
We were not allowed. You can be. It's called a gen-tailer, a generation and a retailer. Mm-hmm. You can't be in the middle of the transmission. You can't have all, right? But you're allowed to have both.
So you don't have transmission.
No.
You only have generation
and distribution.
Distribution.
Yes.
The retail.
Yes,
part.
the retail side.
Yeah.
Right. So we buy right now. We buy very minimal of our 400 megawatts. We buy about 40 from Aboitiz.
40
As
megawatts.
the majority, yes, from Leyte. And then we buy from CEDC, where Aboitiz is just a minority shareholder.
Mm. Does that mean that you can actually control the price? No.
No, everything's regulated by the ERC.
ERC.
Yeah, from a distribution
Energy Regulatory
side.
Commission.
Correct. From a distribution side. From a generation side, it's pure competition, especially with open access now, right? So we have Sometimes we buy from, it's called the WESM, the Wholesale Electric Spot Market. And if people have excess supply, they sell it to that market and they compete for price, right? So Aboitiz has to compete with everybody else.
And that's how the price is determined.
Yeah.
Competition.
Yes.
And then the retail aspect is regulated by the ERC.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, but now going back, what are the challenges that you face?
Well, to me, the challenges is procuring the power at the most affordable cost for the customers, making sure that the power is reliable, there's no power interruptions. A big one also is safety, because we have, unfortunately, there are people that get electrocuted, children flying kites next to the high tension wires, construction workers, it still happens. And so we've taken a proactive stance in that we have, part of our CSR is we are rewiring schools. And every time we rewire a school, we have a certain section where we do a safety presentation, but we tailor it to make a child understand, right? Like, it's not a very formal presentation. It's very childlike, with songs,
knowing your audience,
animation, showing them what's dangerous, what's not. Like, we make it into like a contest.
But they get electrocuted even if it's not a live wire.
No, only if it's a live wire. But most of our 69 kVs are live.
Okay.
The secondary lines, the ones that go to your house, we're replacing those with 3 wires. But from the olden Veco time, it was still live wires, right? So
3 wires.
3 wires, yes. We call them 3 wires because they're insulated. Because a lot of times you get a temporary interruption when a tree hits the wire and it causes a fault and it causes a temporary outage, right? So instead of the electricity running straight through the wire, it goes to the tree to go down to the ground. Because the mission of electricity is to go down to the ground.
Yeah. Wow. So you've gone. How many? Like if we talk about data, how many are victims of accidents like electrocution in 1 year?
In 1 year, average 3, 4. I mean, to us that's a lot. Anything over 0 is a lot to us.
Yes.
Especially if it's a
One
child.
One accident is an accident too many.
Correct. Right? Especially if it's a child or a construction worker.
When you say 3 or 4, those are deaths.
Yes, deaths.
Oh my gosh.
Deaths.
But has it improved since you started making?
Yes, we're doing, like I said, the public engagements, the 3 wires. It's significantly dropped it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's good. What about energy efficiency? Is that part of your advocacy?
Well, we do have.
I think most Filipinos are not conversant with wattage and all these things. So.
We do have people who can go talk about energy conservation, switching to LED lights.
Yeah, that's right.
Inverters for air cons that have inverters, the refrigerators. All the newer appliances now actually do save a lot of electricity, right?
Yeah. Let's talk more about energy conservation and Veco's efforts to educate people. But we have to pause for this short break. Open mic will be right back. We're back here in Open Mic with Consul Anton Perdices. Anton, so we were talking about energy conservation, and I think it really helps to educate people, especially about shifting to LED lights, for example. At home, a few months ago, I also undertook a project like that. No? Okay. I also rewired our lights so that, for example, in the living room, we have. It entails some costs, no? The rewiring, and then added the switches so that, for example, we don't have visitors. Only one part of the room is lit. In the same in the bedroom, in every room. Only the portion where you are, you can light that portion up. And if you have guests, then you can light the entire room up. And I was computing, and then we also shifted to LED lights. I was computing, I told my mom, I think we can reduce electricity costs by 40-50%. And she said, that's impossible. And then we reduced by 60% the following month. So whatever the capital outlay, whatever investment costs that I spent on the rewiring and buying all these new LED bulbs paid for itself by the next month. And then the next few bills, it was the same. We sustained that new cost of electricity every month. So I think it'll help. But of course, that's fewer sales for Veco.
Well, no, that's okay. I mean, to us, it's more of, sustainability, people, profit, planet. So we're always looking at ways, and there's always growth in the city, right? So that takes care of it.
That's right.
But we're more conscious. We're very conscious about the environment, and we do have consultants who, like I said, teach you change to LED or how to insulate if you're going to air condition your room, so that turn your thermostat a few degrees up, you save a lot of money there. And
in my room, I have all these insulators behind my curtains, so it's very dark and so
Okay.
very cold.
Yeah.
It's just my own competition, and I'm not an electrician or anything, but it really helps. So, but does it help when consumers, like households, reduce electricity consumption? Because there are times when there is a shortage of supply, right?
Yes. That's one of the things we try to advocate, is always be aware of your consumption for the fact of that. And what we also have is, for the bigger players, we've introduced this concept called ILP, Interruptible Load Program, where whenever there's a shortage, we can rely on the likes of Ayala, Shumart, San Miguel, and we call them and say, okay, can you deload from the grid? So in 2 hours, they turn on their generators, which drops the consumption, the demand, and we actually pay them to run their generators. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Okay, and then for a growing city like Cebu, when the households decrease, at least we're able to provide more supply to a growing city, for the development. But what about Christmas? Christmas is the Christmas season is upon us. Does that translate to more consumption? Of course, it translates.
It does. But
we're how much?
Not that big, but we are, we're equipped for it already. We have our contracts in place, and like I said, if ever there's a shortage for one reason or another, we're fortunate enough that we're connected also to the Luzon grid, so we can import power from Luzon, which we have before. One of our contracts before was for a peaking plant, was a diesel plant in Batangas, and we're also signing up with DMCI to get 50 megawatts from their coal plant as well. So between that, there shouldn't be any problem with power shortages. Now for power outages, I wish I could say I could guarantee there's no outages, but we can't control the birds, the snakes, the trees, the kites. Yes, there have been trips because of snakes on the wires.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we have all kinds of. I get text messages whenever there's an outage within our franchise, and they give the
perks
reason
and pitfalls of biodiversity in our country. That's part of it.
Yeah.
But and the Christmas lights now are mostly LED. The ones that are being sold. So that I'm sure that
it helps.
That helps.
It helps.
So we're ready for the Christmas season.
Yes.
Veco is ready.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, that's very good. That's good to know, because we don't want any.
We're always ready.
Well, few outages as much as possible, none.
Well, the thing we should be praying for are no typhoons, because that's the one. If that comes, that's out of our control.
Not just because of outages, but because of
shortages and everything.
And people's safety.
But that one, we also have a typhoon contingency team in place already.
Yeah.
So if a typhoon ever hits, we already have a protocol of what we need to do. Restore the backbone first, and then the government facilities, the hospitals, the police, telecommunications, and then we start scattering out and doing the secondary lines.
I've noticed along Osmeña Boulevard, it's like subterranean.
Yeah.
Is it called
UDS?
What is
Underground Distribution System.
So it's already there.
Yes.
And it's very nice.
Yeah.
Our Osmeña Boulevard, our main arterial highway, it's a ceremonial route.
Yes.
Looks nicer now with all the Nara trees and leading to the Capitol, and without the unsightly, unsightly
wires.
The wires. Is there a plan to implement that all over the city?
Well, what the initial plan was with the mayor was to first focus on the Sinulog route. So right now we've completed phase 1 from Capitol to Fuente.
But that's not the Sinulog route, no?
It is. And then from Fuente to P. del Rosario, and then to eventually go to Mango Avenue, and then to get back to Fuente Osmeña.
What's your timeline for that?
Well, right now we're doing the second phase, and we should hopefully be done by the beginning of this year. And then every phase we do, we have to file an application with the ERC, because they have to approve all our projects. since it's a regulated business. We can't just start, doing whatever
But
projects we want.
my comment is, you mentioned the trees along Osmeña Boulevard. Sometimes, and this was like 2 or 3 years ago, so I wouldn't fault you for it, no? But I remember along Gorordo, one time they were pruning this huge acacia tree, and it was almost bald, and I was really scared that they were gonna kill the tree, because there's a proper way for pruning trees.
Yeah.
And so I really stopped. I say, hey, you're pruning it the wrong way, and you're gonna kill the tree. And he says, it's none of my business. I go, no, it is my business.
Yeah.
And I asked, who do you work for? Do you work for the city? And they say they work for VECO.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're subcontractors or...
Yeah, we do, most of our subcontractors are for trimming trees, installing meters, reading meters, putting up the power lines.
I hope those who trim the trees are
They have been, yeah. We have, my predecessor was very green thumb, everything green. Yeah. So he made sure he told them that, this is the proper way to do it.
And I think it's best if you have a regular refresher.
Yeah, we do.
Because sometimes, your subcontractor, I'm sure they have high attrition rates, because it's not a very stable job. No? So they have new people who do it.
Yes.
So they have to be reminded of how to prune trees properly so that they don't kill the poor trees. And not only killing them, but they also look ugly.
Yeah, no, there has to be a proper way to do it. Rather than just chop here, chop there, and then it's like getting a bad haircut. Right?
Oh yeah, and also a proper way of answering people when they ask, no? Because of course it's our business, no? And
but that's why we rely on the public so much for any comments or any feedback they can give us for, like that, verbal comments from our contractors or rotten poles, leaning poles, dangling wires, because unfortunately we don't have an eye to the whole franchise.
Yeah.
It's 675 square kilometers from Liloan to San Fernando, and we only have 351 employees, right? So there's no way we can cover it. So we rely on the public to let us know. They can call us through the phone, send us an SMS, Facebook, Twitter. We have all those.
I'll text you.
Yeah, sure. Please do so.
No, but really, the trees are very important to me, and sometimes I think some of the older people, they have very insular mindsets, and when you say between an electric wire or pole and a tree, they'd rather kill the tree just so long as there's electricity and the safety of people. Yeah, I understand, no? But there has to be a way to make sure that electricity is there and people are safe, and then we don't kill the tree.
Yeah.
The poor
I found it very sad when they widened the road going down south with all those huge oak trees that they had to just...
we were up in arms because there's a way, no? Come up with
reroute it or something.
Yeah. So like in the first world countries, but unfortunately, the mindset here is still pretty third world. And you can't really blame people, no, for having that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
But for those, I think, who have gone abroad, who have studied abroad, the leaders, both in the public sector and in the private sector, it is incumbent upon you guys, to start shifting mindsets through good practice, sustainable ways.
Yep.
But anyway, let's go to your other hat, being Spanish consul. So you were appointed honorary consul back in
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
So it's been
almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years this July.
Yeah.
How's it been so far?
Interesting. It's been, the people that I have to interact with. You get all sorts of problems. You get all sorts of inquiries. I would have to say that the highlight for me was very bittersweet when Yolanda came.
Why?
The ambassador flew in from Manila because Spain was donating doctors and supplies. So we were in the airport. We were like in the military base where all the planning was being done, right? And
in Manila?
No, here in Cebu.
Here.
And you would see, military aircrafts, all kinds, flying in, flying out, dropping supplies, military personnel coming in. So it was exciting, but then at the same time, you'd see a C-130 from Leyte come, and all these Filipinos coming out with looks on their faces, just, your heart would fall. You'd see children there, like, a 5-year-old kid just almost lost his life, lost his house. Some of them have lost their parents walking out of this plane, and it's like, how can I...
But tragedy, always brings out the best.
Yeah.
Almost always brings out the best in humanity, and you see, in amidst loss, there is triumph also.
Yeah.
And that's right. That's right. No, it was. I'm sure it was bittersweet.
Yeah.
And you were new then.
Yes, I was fairly
Few
new.
months.
Fairly new.
You know,
Yes.
it's like a baptism of
Yeah, baptism of fire.
fire and water.
Oh, yeah. So
No,
it was
so-
very exciting. I mean, it was a very exciting, humbling, everything. Joy, sad experience.
How did you get to be appointed? Did you apply for it? Were you?
I was approached
handpicked?
by my predecessor, Mr. Picornell.
Yes.
Because the rule is
He
when you turn 70,
yeah.
you have to turn it over. So he asked me if I
For a
would have
long
been.
time. It was
Yeah.
Senor Picornell.
He asked me if I would be interested. So talked to my wife about it. Talked to my uncles who are also consuls, who were back then, and they said, yeah, you know, it's
Of Spain.
no.
different.
Bobby was of Netherlands.
Netherlands. Yeah.
So they said, no, it's a very good, if you like helping people, which I do. I guess it's the
Yeah.
political blood from my family
On your
on my father's side.
Perdices side. Yeah.
So the consul general came and he interviewed us. There were other candidates
Oh, there
who
were.
applied. Yeah, I think we were 4 or 5. And then we met him, we talked, and then I had to fly to Manila to meet with the ambassador back then, Ambassador Domecq. Met with him, talked to him, and then a few weeks later they called me and said, you know, the position's yours if you want it. So
I'll ask you more about this whole adventure. Okay. But we have to pause for this short break. Open mic. We'll be right back. We're back here on Open Mic with Consul Perdices. So we were talking about how you started with your work as honorary consul. So you were interviewed. There were a few candidates.
Yes.
All were Spanish speaking.
not all.
Really?
Not all, which I was kind of amused was how they were, you know, applying for it without speaking the language.
From Cebu.
Yeah, from Cebu.
Oh, but not all were Spanish, like dual.
Yeah, not all were even dual. Some were just pure Filipinos.
Wow. Were they young or old?
Some were young, some were old.
How many were you again?
5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got the job. You think being from the Aboitiz clan helped?
Possibly, because they look for somebody who is connected in the city, has the connections.
Spanish
If there's
community,
a problem, you know, you can pick up the phone, call the mayor, pick up the phone, call the head of the police department. So somebody who was.
And being with Veco, of course.
Well, no, this was prior. I was consul
Oh,
when
yeah,
I was
not
still
yet,
with the
yeah.
Aboitiz Construction Group.
But you were with the Veco, the Aboitiz group, no?
Yeah, and plus I speak Spanish. My wife speaks Spanish, so I guess it's, you know, check. Okay, good.
And then, but have you had any experience with like diplomatic work before that, or
No,
consular
none at all.
work?
None at all.
Who signed the appointment papers? Is it the king, or is it the head of government?
I have exequatur, which is signed by the Filipino president, but from the Spanish
Which is the
side,
acceptance.
yeah, from the Spanish side, I didn't get any documents from like the king or what saying that I'm the honorary consul. It was more Filipino documents.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you, like an ambassador, for example.
Well, I'm honorary. I don't get paid.
I know,
right?
but for example, I know that, but it's still Spain that appoints you, right?
You know, that one, I think it was just up to the ambassador.
The embassy.
To make the, make the
the
decision.
embassy appoints you, and then the Philippine government accepts.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, because what I know is in other cases, it has to be either the ambassador of the embassy here, which is the head of the delegation to the Philippines, or it can go all the way up to the prime minister or the head of state. Like in the case of Spain, it's the king.
Yeah.
Does that mean you have access to the king?
Well, not necessarily, but I've met the queen once when she came a couple of years
the
ago.
former queen.
Yeah.
Sophia.
Yes. When she was here a couple of years ago for humanitarian reasons.
Yes, she was here. Yeah.
Yes, we were invited to the ambassador's house.
And you were already consul.
Yes. And I was fortunate enough to be able to meet her, me and my wife.
And then, but when you assumed the position, it was still King Juan Carlos. No?
Yes.
And then now it's King Felipe.
Yes.
Felipe
Yep.
the
And
sixth,
Leticia, yeah.
his son, who is incidentally Luli Arroyo's classmate.
Correct. That's right. Yeah.
At
He
Georgetown.
mentioned that.
Yeah. But he's very tall, Luli's very. So when he comes over, I'm sure they're gonna call you.
Yeah, if he does.
Leticia is very pretty.
Yes, she is.
She was on the news recently with.
She was also a newscaster before she became the queen.
Yes, and she was on the news recently with Queen Rania of Jordan, and it was really a fashion face-off.
Yeah.
They're both very beautiful queens.
And dressed really well.
Yeah. So how often are you in Spain? Do you have to be in Spain for your work?
No, I don't. Last time I was there was a couple of years ago. I actually went with the mayor because he requested me to attend to help out in my capacity to translate, to
Mayor
be a
Rama.
guide, Mayor Rama, yes, because they had a sister signing with Barcelona.
Oh,
and then
so we're sister cities with Barcelona.
Yes, and then after that we went to Portugal.
But wait, Barcelona is not really Spanish, right? I mean, the language is more Catalan.
Yeah.
Which is very different.
Yes, it is.
So you speak Catalan?
No,
you
I don't.
Speak Catalan?
I don't. But the majority of them speak Spanish there.
Yeah, but because Catalan is almost, I think it's a different language.
Yeah,
entirely. It's not even a dialect, no?
It's like Basque. There's really three main. There's Spanish, Basque, and Catalan.
The Aboitices are
Basque.
So within the family you speak Basque more than Spanish?
Speak Spanish.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Basque's a very hard language. It's a very interesting language where.
But your lineage is Basque.
Yes.
That's northern Spain.
Yeah, northern Spain, up in the northern coast. They're actual fishermen and sailors.
What
the old Aboitices.
What's the sea there?
I can't remember the name.
Because the south is Mediterranean. South is Mediterranean, no?
Yeah, geography is not one of my strong points. I remember in high school we had to, they gave us a map of Europe and you draw the borders, you name the capitals, and I had all that memorized. So, but nowadays it's like.
So anyway, you were there in Barcelona to translate for Mayor Rama because we had a sister city. That was the last time you were in Spain.
Yes. The more important thing though is we went after that to Sabrosa, Portugal, which is the birthplace of Magellan.
Yeah.
And he signed a sister city agreement with them as well, but also putting together the mayor of Sabrosa along with a gentleman from Spain who's actually here this week. They're putting together, it's called La Red de Magallanes. They're getting all the cities that Magallanes stopped on his around the world journey and putting together they're trying to make it a UNESCO heritage.
Oh, like the trail.
Yes, like the Camino de Santiago, but this is the journey of Magallanes. And what they want to do is that's why that gentleman, Rafael Crespo, is here now this week.
Portuguese.
He's Spanish. From Sevilla.
Okay.
He's actually here this week, and we have a meeting with the mayor tomorrow to really lock in January next year. Cebu City is supposed to host every year. A city hosts, and all the mayors from all the different towns come to meet and to talk about multicultural business, tourism.
Of that route.
Of
Magellan's
yes.
route. It's like the Silk Road or something.
Something like that, yes. Yeah. So hopefully if we come into,
it's interesting.
If we get into the proper, we have the right protocol and we have all our T's crossed and our I's dotted, then we will have a group of about 20 mayors from different cities around the world here for a week.
So there are 20 cities that Magellan...
More or less, yeah. Every this guy's he's a producer and he has a partner who's a historian by nature, and they go through all the historical books, and every so often they find another city that Magellan passed. Said, okay, let's go get him.
But Cebu City should be very special because his cross is here.
Yep, and this is where he died.
And the symbol of our city is actually the monument of his cross, Magellan's cross, which is miraculous. What I know is it kind of grew. That's why it's considered to be miraculous. So anyway, aside from that, but you were there, not as Spanish consul.
As a Spanish consul.
Ah, you were there. Okay. But what else do you have? I remember at the Amigos, the meeting, you mentioned about opening an institute in the University of San Carlos.
Yeah. Well, no. That one is what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring in a Spanish professor to teach Spanish in the university.
From the Instituto?
Yes, from there. And they've been also wanting to open up a Instituto de Cervantes here in Cebu.
Please.
But for one reason or another, it hasn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
But it's something that they would definitely like to do.
As a tie-up, they want to tie up with the University of San Carlos?
Well, that could be that or be on their own, independent. They're looking at different ways to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about that before. I hope
Yeah.
they finally decide to
Yeah,
come here.
because if once that opens up, then that really opens the door to the Spanish culture, right? The movies, the books,
I
the
hope
language.
so. Because we were, we are, Cebu was the first
Yeah.
to have been founded,
Yeah,
even before Manila.
Yes, and back in the day, there were a lot more Cebuanos that spoke Spanish than
That's
there
right.
are now.
That's right.
You know,
The
because it was being
grandparents.
taught in class, and yeah,
And-
all the older generation speak.
And a lot have Spanish blood
Yes,
in Cebu.
yeah.
So I hope they, maybe you can help them.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Any other projects that you have?
Well, I know the big one is that they want to bring back the Canal TVE, Televisión
yeah.
Española.
Oh, okay.
Which is one of the big complaints. Unfortunately,
You're gonna bring it back to through cable.
through cable, yes, they had to take it out because there was some unfortunate incidents it was nudity in their shows.
Doesn't matter.
Here it does. In Spain, it's no big deal, right? They show nudity on regular
Yeah, yeah.
TV.
In Europe.
But here, in Europe. So somebody
paper.
turned on the TV and apparently they saw something and
God,
they made
it's
it a
cable,
big
people. It's
they made
cable.
it a big issue, and so they had to pull it out, right? So, but they're working now to try to bring it back in because that's one of the big concerns that a lot of the Spanish ladies here in Cebu always tell me, when are they putting it back? When are they putting it back? Because they have the telenovelas, the news, the gossip shows.
And well, I remember before the abuelas, they would always read Hola.
Which they still do.
Anyway, so but does the Spanish embassy have exchanges for young people or students? And do they course it through the consulate?
Well, I mean, there's always room for giving these student visas. They do issue student visas.
You don't issue visas here, no?
Here, no. All
You
I can
just
do
recommend.
Yes, I can write a recommendation letter, which would give them a better chance to get a visa. But all the visa processing is done in Manila, and that's another thing is that a lot of people have asked me is why can't they process it here? So that's one thing I'm talking to the Spanish consulate in Manila, because there's already VFS here, which is the processing group. It's outsourced, and they process Italian visas here in Cebu already.
okay.
This is the same company that does it in Manila, so it's just a matter of cost.
Okay, so it's a possibility
Possibility, yes.
that you can issue
Visas here
through your office.
No, through VFS. Through
But you still get to recommend.
Yes.
But you only recommend for people that, of course, you know. no?
yes, definitely, yeah.
You
Because
cannot-
it's my reputation that's on the line,
Yeah,
right?
because
So I have to.
people might expect that, hey, they come to your office and they expect that you issue a visa for someone
Yeah.
you don't know.
And no, what I do also is I make it a point that in the letter I describe the relationship I have
that's
with the
right.
person. Like if it's somebody I've known for all my life, I write I've known this person for all my life. So that one it's
Or
an
at least
easy-
if you know the reputation of the person.
Yeah, like that. So if it's a friend of a friend, I put it. It's a friend of a friend.
So, well, we were talking about visas now. Let's talk about this thing that gained that went viral on social media a couple of years back, and it's back, no?
Yes,
This
the last names.
the last names, the Spanish last names. That if you have these last names, you can apply for Spanish citizenship.
Yeah.
Now, but well, why would you want? I was talking to Anton before we started the show. Why would you want to be a dual citizen? And then you encounter the same problems as Senator Grace po if you want to run for public office. But well, having a Spanish passport presents a lot of advantages, no?
For traveling, for
working and studying.
Europe, yes,
yeah,
definitely.
especially in Europe.
Yeah.
And the Spanish passport has a lot of access, not in North America and South
As
America.
well, yes,
So
yes. Like when you go to the U.S., like whenever I go to the U.S.,
you use
I can use my Spanish passport and I don't need to apply for a
for
visa.
US visa.
Yeah.
So let's correct the impression.
Yeah.
Let's correct because it was shared. It was already debunked a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
but it's
It's not true.
It's not true.
Yeah,
There is a bill that's proposed,
Yes,
but we don't
for
know
the
if
Sephardic
it's
Jews.
Yeah, for the Sephardic Jews as a reparation because they were not treated very well in the Middle Ages.
Yes.
But that's still a proposed
Yes.
bill. If it's gonna pass, and if it does
I
pass,
honestly don't know.
we don't know.
Yeah.
So that's to set the record
Yeah.
straight. But unfortunately, our time is up.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Consul Anton
Thank you.
Perdices.
Thank you very much
And I
for-
wish you all the best. Gracias.
De nada, de nada. And like I said, we're here. I'm here in my position as consul to help people, the Spanish people, the Filipino people, with regards to consular matters. But more importantly, in VECO, as I mentioned, there's only 351 of us, and we can't see and go over our whole franchise. So we rely on the people as well to let us know if there's any unsafe practices or unsafe issues and stuff like that.
But we've seen a lot of improvement, as to how VECO is being run. So keep it up.
Thank
Keep
you.
it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
This was another episode of Open Mic. Until next week, good night and Godspeed.